wonderful, wonderful.
Welcome to Leap Sales with Ian Nethercott and Larry Feldman live.
If you look at the last 4 years again, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. The customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
And good evening. I'm not sure. Oh, there's Mr. Larry. Okay. So I guess we were talking about tariffs was the sort of idea, or the Supreme Court tariff idea.
Recording in progress.
I don't think changed much other than different way to do tariffs. But what's your opinion on the tariff side, Mr. Larry? I know you're have some political opinions, I guess legal opinions.
Well, I tend to look at it from the viewpoint that I think I understand what Trump's trying to do. And what he's trying to do is fix an imbalance we've had for years and years, where we've put more out than we've gotten in. Look, I'm a political conservative, so I look at things like the UN and some of the places we spend money, not to mention all the fraud that's coming out now, and I lose my mind. So whether you like or hate Trump, his concepts make sense just in looking at, let's try to claw back some of the money, because we're definitely being charged more than we're taking in. And tariffs, by the way, have been a long-standing policy with presidents. Unfortunately, we don't teach history, and we have a lot of uneducated people in Congress that don't understand history. This is not unprecedented. So I understand that they tried to go after him foolishly. They didn't realize that all he has to do is move it from one column to the other, and the tariffs will all still stand. But I think everybody on this program will agree that in life and in advertising, perception is reality. So if the perception is that something's negative, which we filter through a biased press, or something's good, then that's how people perceive it, right? I mean, I think we'll all agree that it's all between our ears, whether the glass is half full or half empty. So my feeling is what he's trying to do is beat people up to give America fair shake, since we seem to be the world's protector, and everybody wants to come here, so we must be doing something right. But I honestly think as interest rates come down, as they get away from this insanity with EVs, which I don't know how many, what did Ford lose, $5 or $6 billion?
Well, they're paying.
And all the
16 billion. They wrote on 16 billion.
Thank you, Abdul. And all the dealers that are jammed with cars, and all the lack of productivity. I honestly think we're on a good track, and I think that we won't see a huge difference. But I just like the fact that we're turning in the direction of less inflation, lower interest rates, and if we're pressuring people to give us a fair share. One thing Trump said a long time ago that I really enjoy it because it's true. Every leader should be nationalistic. Every leader should be for their country first, right? What kind of parent, if you're going out of hell with my kid, take care of the kid next door? So as long as we have somebody at the top that's trying to push America first, just like every other country should push, their country first, I honestly think we're going to be okay. I got to tell you, I'm very, very optimistic about 2026, and I think it's going to get better and better and better. And that's it. I'm Russell. I usually think I'm pretty funny, but I don't think I'm funny anymore after I watch Democrats line up and say that there was no imminent threat. So you have religious lunatics that are basically a death cult that want to have an atomic weapon. Well, we don't have an imminent threat. Well, why don't we wait till another 9/11, only a nuclear one, and then we can all decide that it wasn't that important. All right, I'm done. Go ahead. Somebody.
Go ahead, Russell.
And one thing that I may add, Larry, on your nationalistic thing, you got to remember that we're the youngest country on earth. Every other country has been thousands of years, so they're the nationalists. We've been more patriotic. So slowly we're getting into being a nationalist America first.
Israel is younger.
Wait a minute.
Israel is younger, and they're more nationalistic.
Right, Israel's younger, and I believe Epstein Island was trying to be a younger country, but the only resident.
Well, yeah, Israel's younger. Israel has been part of the world for centuries, since mankind, But the thing with nationalism, it takes time. The thing that I really appreciated for the for NATO to come up, for NATO nations to come up and add on their share to get to the 5% of their GDP for defense, where we were taking so much of the battle and all our forces in there in Europe and in Japan and in South Korea. So that part of it, but we're also the biggest consumer that we are. Then some of that gets transferred to our thing too, and because China gluts the market so much with cheap goods, So when manufacturing comes back in here, like it was before in the 60s and 70s, then we can have more of an argument of saying, the tariffs is going to help us then. So right now we're getting the money and hopefully it gets to put to good use. And yeah, we need to put the hammer down on the ones that are ripping us off.
100%.
Mr. Shearer, by the way, Mr. Larkin, Mr. Shearer requested him getting a link for Friday, so I just sent you his and Hugo's emails.
Awesome. Can I ask something about that Friday thing, Larry? Because I see from Michael and from Gary, but when I log in from LinkedIn, I hear all the panel, but I cannot participate. How is that on LinkedIn when it's Zoom? We can talk and participation and all of that.
Well, it's the same thing that goes on Wednesday. It's a streaming show. So when you're on LinkedIn and you're watching the stream, all you can do is comment. You can't participate.
No. We're talking about the Friday podcast we have with Mike Larkin. Mike, does that stream out live?
Mike, that's streaming live too, right?
Right. You can comment,
but you can't see it yet.
Yeah.
No, you can see it. You can't
um,
join. You can't participate.
Yeah, join in as far as you can see it and comment, and
Okay.
we'll receive that message and share that comment live. But you're not going to be able to have your voice.
All 3 Fridays, and then this Auto Hub show that was very, very good this Monday morning at 8:00.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, and I sent you a message on it. But just wanted to know how the intricacy of that works.
Mhm.
That when I'm
Abdul, it's involved with the tariffs. If you would send me cash, I can at least hold a picture of me up on Wednesday and Fridays. If that
you name it, my brother. You're in. You got it. I will send you one of the 5 guys and a Coke, and you're in.
man, where are you talking my language?
Hey,
Yeah, the
Um,
streaming
but
shows, we stream this show and the One Day Show on 3 platforms. So I'm assuming Mike's doing the same thing. So you can definitely comment, and depending on the platform, we can comment back on the feed. But there's no interaction that way. Other than that.
Got it. Okay.
Hey, one other thing too. It's very refreshing to have guys like Russell Hill and Jeff Shearer and Mike Larkin. Jeff, I didn't see you, but I was kind of like a in the back of the room participant because I was signing up a dealer during human side of AI. But to have guys like yourself, Jeff and Mike and Russell, who really I consider really knowledgeable guys, but all kind of be humble and fall in line with Russell saying, I don't know any experts. Because basically, if you think about it, some of the things we think are right aren't right. And some of the things that we think we're sure of, 2 years later, we're not sure of. And this damn AI stuff is changing so quick. It's like you're standing on quicksand saying, this is okay, I know where the land lies. Well,
Today,
just change it.
today,
Yeah. Guys, obviously, I've gotten by in my life because I'm completely mentally unstable and I have a pretty good sense of humor. But I'll tell you what, I always go into every situation feeling like I'm the dumbest guy in the room. And what can I learn? And I got to tell you, I've developed a huge distaste my whole life for people that talk down to you, that think they know everything. Because once in a while you run into somebody really bright. I consider Brian Kramer really bright. I consider the guys in this panel really bright. But I've heard some really big jackasses bray away about how smart they are. And I'm thinking, man, do you ever look in the mirror? So Russell and Jeff, Mike and Abdul, I give you all the credit in the world. You're knowledgeable guys, but you don't wear it on your sleeve. And while I'm thanking and complimenting people, I want to compliment Ian and Rhonda who put up with me, even though they are induced by hazardous duty pay.
well, thank you, Larry. And I'll say, unfortunately, some of those guys that know everything are trainers. And not you, but you know who I'm talking about,
And they spend all their
Everybody
time.
knows who I'm talking about.
Even I know who you're talking about.
And you know what?
I'm
Are you talking
trying
about me?
to-
You're not talking about me, are you?
Well,
Here's my girl, Sandy
I am.
Zanino. Here, Sandy's a classic case. Sandy is an arch liberal. I'm an arch conservative, and guess what? We're best
What the
friends.
heck was that?
A bot.
We enjoy each other. We talk. It's no big
Hi,
deal.
Johnny.
Russell got shot out of the
Oh, it's
space.
Russell.
Hi,
It's all good.
Johnny.
I love how.
Anyway.
So my bot heard somebody say something like sleep or something, because if I tell it to do something, it does it. So somebody shut it down, and I had to tell it to wake up, Tiny. Anyway, that's his name, is
I
Tiny.
saw Mike clicking keys, so I don't know what that
Yeah,
AI's gotten into your system now.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I've gotten just about everywhere.
So what does everyone think the long-term strategy looks like? I mean, obviously, obviously tariffs are a short-term strategy, always were. What do you think the long-tail strategy is?
Or what?
For global trade, I mean, for global business.
Hold on, Ian. So a few of you popped in late, and Ian started off with asking Larry a question, and that was what, Ian?
We're just talking about tariffs, and we're talking about the thoughts on that. But more importantly, when you looked at it, when you look at tariffs throughout history, not just now, but over the last couple hundred years, they were always a temporary measure. So I guess my question is, what's the long tail strategy? That's my question.
Let me jump in and then let's go around the room. I'll tell you who I respect as a thought leader these days more than anybody, and that's Mike Rowe. Besides the fact that the guy does a ton of charitable work, he realizes that, listen, there's going to be some AI jobs that put people out. There's no doubt. But right now, there's such a dearth of people that work with their hands that can fix things, electricians. Russell, they're making me richer and richer because everybody needs techs and they call Larry Feldman. But it's not as easy as you would think it is because there's just not as many of them. So I think, let's talk about the human side of AI with the Wendy applaud. AI is here. You can't ignore it. You have to embrace it, and you have to try to keep up with its pace. But how about the human factor? How about having people to fix things? How about if your AI is good enough to get people into the showroom, having salespeople that don't kick you in the head for coming in?
Yep.
Hey, Sandy, we were just talking about you. So what are your thoughts? We started off saying about the tariffs. I know you're anti-Trump, I'm pro, but we all agree that what we want to do in this country is get a fair shake. Win, lose, or draw.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts of coming up? And it's nice to see you tonight.
Well, thanks. It's nice to see everybody else. I'm sorry that I was a few minutes late. I was working out. And I love looking stuff up. I think that global trade is really important. There's a really great book that is, what is it called? I'll think of the name of the book and I'll come back.
We only endorse one book on the show. It's Inner Moron Demons by Larry J.
Well, no, my favorite book, if we're going to talk about my favorite book, it's The No Asshole Rule. But there is a book that talks about global trade and how important it is. And one of the things that something economics.
Voodoo economics?
No, the name of the book is a play on the word economics.
Wait a minute, Sandy. Christian is here.
Freakonomics? Is that Freakonomics?
Wait a minute.
Wait, Christian Youngren got here late. We want to tell him the new policy is the last guy in the room has to buy. Clark can order some pizza, tell him to Christian Youngren.
Is that Freakonomics with the orange and the apple?
It might be. Might be. And somewhere in the book, it talks about how there's no war wherever there's a McDonald's, right? Because when you're trading, and so as far as tariffs go, like I don't know. I do think that they have been used as a tool, and I'm certainly no, global trade expert. But I also know that, so I looked up something while everybody was talking, and to see how the tariffs affected the automotive industry in 2016 through 2020. It was increased costs, increased on steel, 25%, aluminum, 10%, significantly raised raw material costs, reduced profits for automakers like GM, Ford, Toyota. They face $1 billion in lower operating income, higher consumer prices, the cost of cars went up, shift in production strategy. And I heard something not that long ago about like trade deficit that made so much sense to me, right? Like part of it, like I don't at the moment actually, because I've taken care of my trade deficit, meaning how much have I bought on credit, right? Do I buy more than I can pay? Because that creates the deficit. Anyway, so that's kind of what I think about that. I don't want anything to hurt people, regular people, right? And I don't want it to hurt anybody, right? I don't want our policies to cause challenges for anybody. But the saddest part about rising prices is that those who can least afford it get hurt the most. And if that's Larry, what you call liberal, that's how I feel. I've always thought about those who have less than me. Right?
Then I'm a liberal. Then I'm a liberal.
I'm good. Well, I mean, like Larry, that's if that's a liberal thought, right? I always, that's just how I am. That's who I am, right? Like even when I left, I remember when I left the dealer group that I worked for 20 years. Like who came to me when I was leaving, before I was leaving, were like all the car wash guys, and they were like, Sandy, who's going to care about us? Because I fought for them. I fought for higher wages for them. I fought for, because there is this big people who make a whole bunch of money, and then people, I don't know, I think there's still some dealers who are paying people $12 an hour because that's minimum wage in Florida, right? So anyway, that's all. It's an interesting topic.
Cool. I see that the very party Christian Youngren popped in, and now I pay for the pizza. But David Rosick is in. David has lit up every damn show today, including the human side of AI. David, we started off talking about what effect do you think tariffs and the changes of them will have, and now we're just flat out talking about. I said that Mike Rowe is my inspiration because he's smart enough to dial in that we need people to work with their hands and rise that middle class up. Because I think we'll all agree the middle class has been taking a hell of a hit the last few years. And that's really poor of America.
Yeah, I think empowering people and training people is a wonderful thing. And I think the car business gives so many people that opportunity. But yet, the world does need ditch diggers and grave diggers. I'm sorry. Some of them get paid after,
No. It's not politically correct to call them grave diggers. We call them finance managers.
There you go. And I was a finance.
Well, wait, what are you talking about, David? They always tell me they buried a guy, so I
yeah.
being colloquial.
Hey, Gary could probably comment on that.
Hold on.
Wait.
Stop. The lovely
Here's
person
Ian.
you see in between Christian and Gary is one of my oldest and dearest friends, Roseanne. She's my director of operations. Guys, don't even try to steal her. She is the best person to work with and work for on the planet Earth. She keeps me straight. Imagine that.
That's magical.
That is magic.
Roe is the one that called me during the show to tell me that we put an ad in for a guy. We specifically worked it a certain way. Roe reached out and said, how's this for a director of operations? Says the guy has no resume because he's never been out of the job. What do you think? 2 days later, the guy's hired, he's getting his uniform, he's working in, and he's a tech, guys. Don't tell me we can't find tech. So I asked Roe to join us because she's the best.
Rose and hi, I'm Abdul.
Hi, Abdul.
How are you, dear? Now I need your help to guide Larry to help me out. He's been neglecting me this whole year.
Abdul, I looked at your programs, and I think you've got the wrong Jew. I think you need Jesus to push that specific program. You need some miracles.
No, all I need is that you tell me what they need and we'll program it like that. That's all. You just tell me what they need and we'll program it. You've talked to Abe, and Rhonda talked to Abe. We just giving you 2 or 3 platforms, and then you say, I need this, and then we set up a 25 minute Google Meet, and we'll give him a day or 2, and he'll program it the way.
Russell and David Rose and Christian, I just got to tell you, I love Abdul, but you will never ever have a short conversation with him. Okay, Russ, I think we should sell your business because it's blown up now, and start one of those $3.99 a minute sex lines. If you get him as a customer, we'll get rich because he can't say hello in less than 11 minutes. Am I right?
I like the first part. I don't think I want to participate in the second part.
I think they got rid of it in like the 80s or something.
I'm still trying to figure out why I'm participating in this. How did I get dragged into this?
Because we're talking about the lack of jobs and how great a man Mike Rowe is to work with your hands. And we were talking about that the markets have shifted and that it's hard to get texts. And while I'm saying that, you text me and say, the guy that we pushed in and got done without a resume got hired. And I think that was worth noting. Because a lot of times on calls and on LinkedIn and Facebook and Clubhouse, you hear a lot of non-substantial silliness. But getting a guy a job, connecting all the damn dots, and in 2 days our buddy Jacob has a tech, I think that's worth celebrating. In a world where you can't get anything done, we got something done.
Can I give you my 2 cents about these texts? Does
Yep.
anybody want to hear it?
Absolutely.
They like being called, being stroked, being listened to. This guy who called our number, the first thing I said to him was, did you put a resume in? And he's a good old boy from Georgia, very nice. And he says to me, I don't have a resume. I was working for this place for so many years. And then I was working for myself for the past 6 years, but, I had to close the shop and, I kind of live out in the woods. And, nobody really travels out here and it's hard to make it out here and this and that. And this guy really convinced me that these techs just really want to talk to a live person, and they really want somebody to listen to them and to feel like they're represented by somebody. and they like talking shop. And they want to tell you about the fuel injectors that they're replacing, that the engines that they're tearing out, and you know, and the great cars that they've had and all that. And they want to establish a relationship in that respect. They're not into, you know, resumes and all that stuff, and because they just feel like they're just another number. But once they could start talking shop with somebody, this guy called me like 4 times every step of the way, saying, I'm going today, I went today, I'm going back tomorrow, I went. And then he calls me today to tell me that, you know, that he got his uniforms, how nice the man was, and in 30 days, he's going to give him a little raise because he started him with the money that he was making, and that, you know, his wife is so thrilled, and he goes, you know, I think I'm finally going to be able to get my teeth fixed. I mean, it was such a nice, you know, conversation, and they want live people that pick up the phone, like Larry always says, and that can relate to them in some way, even if they're girls. You know what I mean?
Hey, Ro, let me tie the story back one step. My buddy David Rose, you don't know David as well as we do. Incredibly good guy. He'll help anybody with anything. Super smart, never talks down to anybody. He just put a thing on making friends. Well, the reason you were able to hire that guy is because I was lucky enough to buddy up with Jeff Shearer. And Jeff Shearer, I got involved through his son, was trying to get his son a job. And ever since then, I think it's fair to say, Jeff, you and I have been pretty damn good friends. So Jeff said, I mean, I think you're a little mentally unstable, but you seem like a hell of a recruiter and trainer. I had to agree with him all counts.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Right. And he's the one that got us involved with all these tire places. Jeff Shearer is the one that we would have never met, Jacob Melton of J&J Tire. So because I was nice to Jeff's son, who, by the way, is an unbelievable pack and a great human being, and Jeff and I had buddied up, he got me that, and then because you were kind enough to pick up the phone and talk to this guy, again, David spoke beautifully today on the human side of AI. AI is going to take over, but guess what? We still need the human part. We still need to answer our phone and engage people and write stuff and show that we actually care a little bit.
Yep. That's just what everybody, you know, that's just what they want. They want to feel like somebody is kind of holding their hand, you know, along the way. I think because regardless of the talent, and sometimes when there's the lack of talent, you know, you get nervous. I mean, there's a lot of times in your life where there's a lot of stress, and there's really not too many things as stressful as going into a new job, whether you know that career inside out or not. It is stressful, you know. Having a boss is stressful.
Bro, well, hey, don't look at me while you're saying that, will you? Listen, for anybody that hasn't seen my first Larry call, what does Charlie Brown, Spider-Man, Mother Teresa, and Elvis Presley have in common? It was that whether you're an iconic real-life figure, I mean, Mother Teresa's a saint, or Elvis Presley still might be the greatest rock and roll singer of all time. If you haven't seen the new thing they have on the Epic, it's amazing. I mean, listen, I don't care how handsome, beautiful, rich, famous you are. Everybody's insecure. Everybody needs an arm around their shoulder and a smile and somebody to say, that was a heck of a job.
Yeah.
And we forget that sometimes. We forget that we're human and they're human. And if we remove that interaction, which has become so common because of Zoom calls and
yeah.
David, you would not believe how many people click on these ads and we call them in 3 seconds. It's like we have spyware on the phone and they don't answer and they never get back. Because we're the thing that it used to be 20, 30 years ago. If you wanted to get a job, you put a nice shirt and tie on, you went in, you were on your best behavior. Hey, all you do is hit a bunch of buttons. None of these people know what they're applying to. Because if you ask them what job, let me look.
You don't even remember their answer. They're just automatic click, 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 click.
Yeah. So again, it's just about being human. David, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Ro is my right-hand girl, does better job running my organization than I do, and she's very infrequent. I didn't mean to cut you off, David. So
it's okay. I like Ro better than I like you anyway.
Yeah.
So why should you be any different than anybody else?
Exactly.
I surround myself with people better than me.
But truthfully, it's, relationships and appreciating other people and making friends makes a difference, because really, without friendships last night and this morning, I couldn't have did a podcast that I'm kind of co-hosting and navigating without Gary speaking up, without Mike's support, without you being there, and then Russell chiming in on his parts. It was difficult. Luckily, I could say, hey, Brian Kramer, can you jump on and hold a little bit of this conversation? Hey, Gary and Jack Behar and, Russ Beckenstein, can we get the Dealer CX crew there? And then, Joe from One Keel. I'm looking at this and I'm like, God, this is the voice of Cars Commerce. This is a founder. This is a business owner. This is another founder. This is another business owner. And I'm like, this is really an all-star crew.
Sounds like it.
And I only reached out to a few people, select people, to say, hey, these are the perfect people that I'd like to hear from and that support me. And really it was because, Brandy said Wendy's sick and she's not going to make it, although she wants to. And I said, hey, no problem. I'll pick up the slack. I just have to move my schedule around. But the hardest thing for me to do really is to talk. I freak out and I get scared and my blood pressure rises when I stand in front of a meeting or a conference and talk to people. I start sweating. When I got done, the first thing I did is I'm like, I need a steak taco salad and a bottle of water. Because an hour of that, I'm just like, man, this reminds me of being at the dealership where people are asking me to talk all the time. The funniest thing, though, is when I have to be a salesperson and jump on stage with a customer, it doesn't faze me. But with my peers, it freaks me out. I don't like to, address the group. But unfortunately, I've just always had to jump in that role because I realize that other people won't step up. And that we just kind of hold things inside and we don't communicate, but yet we like to bitch about them without fixing them. And that's where I'm like, you know what, guys, we're just causing churn and chaos. And let me, use my gift that my grandfather bestowed on me and said, you are the one person that can always bring clarity to things, even though you confuse the shit out of everybody for a moment, but at least you'll fix it. And you'll keep following up and you'll keep tweaking it until you get it to work right. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I just thought I was that annoying little kid.
No, that's nice. I think that's real nice.
Appreciate it.
I heard you this morning on human side of AI, which I tried to be done. That was very, very well done, David. Good job, my friend.
It's all Mike Larkin and you guys supporting me in it. Mike one time.
No way. You were a natural today. You were a natural.
Yeah, you were.
That chat box was
you were extremely professional, and it was. Yeah, it was one of the most amazing rooms I've been in a while.
Oh, you guys make it that way though.
We all together. We all did. You kept it going. You kept calling people out and getting their input or asking somebody if they wanted to, you just kept it going. There's no dead silence.
Hey, Russell, why don't you say it takes a village? That'll make Sandy Zanino happy.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
quoted.
Yeah, I meant what I said today too. Today was over my head, except that I was able to follow and understand much more than I did 6 months or a year ago or 2 years ago. So I could follow it somewhat, but it's a lot.
You said that, and it's like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
It's like when he started talking about all that other communication stuff, it was like, all right, I'm done. I'm tapped out. I'll listen a little bit, but I don't get it.
Well, your input was equally wonderful, Gary. Thank you.
Gary, you were saying some stuff that was super inspiring.
And,
and for a second there was so many words that you mentioned that I started defining those in my head and go, wait, I'm over my head. I can't catch up to what Gary's saying. I got to listen to this 5 times because every little part in there was its own video and its own little masterclass today. Mike came on and taught us again about EAT. Brian Kramer did his thing. Russell did his thing. Gary, you did your thing. I didn't hear enough from Larry, but that's okay.
I was signing up a dealer.
He was signing up. He's writing a deal. He's on his phone.
He's on his phone, but participation there was great today, and I think that I think all these podcasts are like a volunteer thing, right? For a lot of them, for us to jump on because everybody has their own job that they have going on. It's tough for me to get home by 6 o'clock a lot of times to make this show. And it always kind of pisses me off because I get home and I'm like, it's 6:45, it's 6:50. I'm going to jump up for 5 minutes and Larry's going to say, all right, Dave, shut up, don't talk, get out of here. It's a long-winded part.
Say that.
Well, not directly.
Never. Indirectly or directly.
Probably not.
Who haven't we heard from yet? Christian, since he agreed to buy the pizzas because he was late. What's going on, my good and great friend?
So just listening, I feel like Sandy, I feel left out on this human side of AI this morning. It sounds like the gang was all here and the gang was all there and I missed the party. So where's the replay for that? Is that a Clubhouse or was that a Zoom?
It's a Clubhouse.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'll go look it up. I think I'm part of it.
It's a good replay, and I think that another one's in a couple weeks, and we'll see who's gonna be in that one. But gonna try to bring in some very similar folks in it. If Gary and Dealer CX doesn't take up the first half hour, but I think they might. Gary Gross and Jack Behar, which Russell, you know all those guys for years.
Yeah, well, they bought my old company from Car Research. It's called CX now, and they're doing some really amazing stuff with it. It's great. Gary Gray's phenomenal, genius guy. Jack, relationship expert. Russ Beckenstein. Hell, I remember when we hired him. It's good stuff.
You talk about the tariff. That's what you guys were originally talking about? Is that what but you digress from it?
We digress.
Every week.
I mean, I guess at this point, it's interesting you even bring it up because I haven't thought much about it until, after the first 3 months of last year that was, I called it tariff terror. Because I mean, what it did was it created uncertainty. It created scarcity because everyone's wondering, should I hurry up and buy now? So it probably helped everybody with some sales early on, and then it just feels like everything has kind of just gone back to somewhat normal, other than we're paying 20% more at the grocery store for everything. But isn't it amazing how I know we're still bitching about it, but you still, what do? You still got to buy stuff, so it's interesting. Have you guys had tariff stuff come up here recently, or?
No, Larry just wanted to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To me, it's been an excuse for a lot of folks to jump up the prices because I see a lot of things in prices go up, and even like gas, and I'm like, wait a second, the tariffs aren't affecting that. I'm like, what makes you jump up the gas cost 20% all of a sudden magically? And you look at it and go, wait, oh yeah, there's a holiday coming up in a couple days.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, blaming that on the tariffs too, right? But regardless, I think the grocery store has gotten a little out of hand. But, ironically, I've realized that sometimes the fresh produce stores are a lot less expensive than the main grocery stores and a lot better produce. And I think that's where I was seeing such a big hit on a lot of produce. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to switch gears and change a couple stores and think about this. And it seems like the Aldis of the world were okay, but a lot of stuff there went up, and I don't really shop there. But grocery shopping, it's been expensive with the tariffs. But again, I think it was more of an excuse, Kristen. I don't know if it's really a reality that it should be affecting us there.
So I feel
and flip it on its head. If the way some of the laws are now structured, if a car is built in America, you get an extra tax break. So it's 6 of one, half of the other. Hey, Jeff, I waved to you and mentioned you and thanked you, but I didn't get to hear from you tonight.
Rhonda, you miss Rhonda? She's raising her hand.
Rhonda's been
I wanted to respond to something. I wanted to respond to something that Sandy said, and I get that when the tariffs were done in the years that you were quoting that data from, all the prices went up, and it really did hurt people. But what Trump is trying to do, and he's somewhat successful, it's just that we're not going to see it for a while, he was using it as an incentive for people to bring manufacturing back to this country or bring it here in the first place, even if it never was. So he was announcing, this is a $1 billion deal and that's a $10 billion deal. But the problem with doing that is that you can say, I'm going to spend $10 billion, but if you have to build a facility and set up a business, that takes a long time. So that we're not going to see. And if that's exactly what we need. I mean, Larry's hero, Mike Rowe, would say, we need manufacturing in this country. But that's going to take some time. You don't just walk in and say, here's $10 billion. Let's put up a factory kind of thing. So I think that will eventually make that situation different this time than it was with just tariffs for the sake of tariffs.
I think there's a short-sightedness, though, to some of these things being made here in the United States. For example, in the lighting industry, so I used to own part of a lighting company, and I designed a bunch of patents for LED lighting and created those. I would never make LED lighting here in the United States because the water residual content that goes into the ground is so toxic in our water system, the way lights are built. It was easier for me to ship stuff to Zhengzhou, China, and say, make this.
And poison them.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the black rain that they have and pollution there, it's so terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want that made here in Chicago because, well, it's probably going to go to the Canadians and Ian will die of cancer. But that's, but regardless,
We would like to officially
announce.
Wait, David, let's officially announce you as J.D. Vance's vice president for in 2020.
But aren't the tariffs being used more as a either do what I want or I'm gonna slap a tariff on you?
It's a negotiation point.
Yeah.
But is that negotiating in trade?
He works the country like
they
a car
have
dealer.
not been negotiating tools in trade.
But he
policy, which I do have to say I definitely disagree with, right? Like if you're trying
did you disagree when he stopped a couple of wars because he put economic pressure on them? Whether you listen.
Which war did he stop with? All right. Well, you know what? I don't think that we should.
Now,
politics is a tough topic.
Okay, it is a hard topic, right?
Yeah,
I think the thing that we can agree on, Larry, you and I, on such opposite things, is that we both love the Constitution of the United States.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
love this country, and
Yes.
we want everybody to succeed, right? I think that's where
Russell, cue the
That's
music
what I'm
about this
gonna
thing
go
we
on.
are the world.
I gotta go.
Let me, on the tariffs, in Rhonda, thank you for explaining a little bit.
I know I really do have to go, Larry. I gotta get back to work.
Yeah,
No problem.
Better because your boss is really a pain in the neck.
Oh, he's just,
He's a driver.
Yeah.
he's something. You gotta love him, though. You gotta love him. It was a
Now you-
pleasure seeing everyone. Bye.
Nice meeting you, Rose. Bye-bye.
Abdul.
Good
Bye,
seeing you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Love you.
Love you, Rhonda.
Yeah, love you too.
So, the
How do I
tariffs.
get out of here?
You're trapped. So Hotel California, you can check out anytime you want. You can never leave.
Somebody help me or answer a few of the questions, and I'm not, and we're not going down any political side. It appeared that the tariffs were supposed to make the trade more equal, more balanced. And if that's what he's doing, or if that's what it's creating, and we're bringing the business back to the United States, well, that's a blessing for everybody. And with Ford and with Mike Rowe and with all this, and I follow Mike Rowe. Our future is the 8th grade, and because we want to start letting people learn, not forcing them that they have to go on to a college education and that they need to learn a trade. And between Mike Rowe and a lot of people, getting back to the trades is a huge movement that America needs. Mike Rowe talks about, just in Connecticut, we have the electric boat. Those are making those Nautilus boats. We have to have 100,000 welders trained to be able to complete some of these agreements that they have. So now they're going into the community colleges, and they're bringing in trade schools. So you're starting to see this American pride again, where we're building our own. And that is a great thing to see, because not 50% of the world needs to use their hands to work. And when you're trying to make those people go into a place where they need to use their brain and they're not ready to use their brain, they want to use their hands, it doesn't work. So I just look at, if the tariffs can allow our American manufacturers to get an edge and to be able to start controlling more of the inventory and controlling what's going on, well, then the dollars stay locally. And that's where I see it as a benefit. We needed something for the auto industry.
Garrett, hold on for 1 second. Hold your thought. Wendy, I know you were sick as a dog, but you and David Rosick did a fabulous job. We were talking about the human side of AI and how great that program was this morning. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Garrett, but Wendy, she sounded hoarse as hell, but she came through like a champ. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I actually jumped in for the first time, and you look okay now, Wendy. You rallied.
Yeah, a little bit sunburned. I borrowed Fred my car, so I had to ride the Razor 45 minutes to one of my dealers and back. So I got a little overdone by the sun, but the fresh air did me good.
We love to have
So
that.
I'm really sorry I'm late, you guys. Larry, I've been watching. I'm so thankful that you were all in our call this morning. It was such a wonderful call, and I meant to be here on time. And thankfully, Sandy texted me, and I'm like, oh shit. Sorry, Rhonda. So I meant to make it. I'm sorry.
Wendy, but you're here.
I was just worried about you. I was like, where the hell is Wendy? I haven't seen her for like a week.
Wait, and she brought cleavage. We got to see suntan parts.
So Gary, one of the things, and I'm still waiting too, like we all are, to see what's really happening with tariffs. But you know, one of the stats that sticks out to me and makes me lean back, 2025 lost 70,000 manufacturing jobs. So wow. I don't know how we make that up. And obviously when you have a loss, you got to pretty much triple that effort to get back up to the green side, black side.
It's not just that, Jeff. I think it's because we lost a lot of the schools too. If you look at a lot of the colleges and private schools, because of the cost of education right now, we need these people education. And like Gary said, we need people to go to these both trade schools, vocational schools, whatever, to learn. But you know, the messed up thing is, to fix this problem, all we ever had to do was, instead of putting everybody in certain nothing jobs in the military, there's a whole part of welding schools that every branch of the military has, especially the underwater welding
the Navy,
for military.
Yep.
And a lot of my friends who are also Navy divers like myself, gone into the underwater welding section, but there's whole schools that are empty for that. So having the right recruiting and billets and people putting them in those jobs and saying, hey, we want to make more welders because we want to build more in this country. For some reason, we stopped doing that as much, because at one time when I went to school there was always classes booked with welders. Now those classes, we're just not teaching it on the government side, but yet the funding hasn't gone down for that. So it's weird as to what's really going on there in manufacturing. So I get what you're saying, Jeff, though. I'm sorry to interrupt.
You know, and we talked, I think, was it last week, about, I think I mentioned it, grease under the fingernails. There's other jobs that don't have that. But part of me still thinks that a lot of the working public, and maybe more blue collar, still has some COVID hangover. They're not really motivated enough to go out and find the job, because, man, I had it good for a year, right? I could sit on my couch and I was getting paid more than I was getting paid, working at the burger joint or whatever. So I think there's probably some of that too, but yeah, I think you make a good point, Dave, that, school funding because companies now that donate to those schools are reeling in their lines and tightening their lines. What are we investing in, right? Because the market is uncertain, and especially, and this was before the new war started, but, who knew what was going to happen, because the impact of the tariffs, just, I'll say it again. Is Sandy still on here? No, she's gone. Sand in the crankcase.
She's here.
It just, it messed everything up, because nobody in our time, we didn't have tariffs that impacted everything before. There were always some kind of tariffs, I think, on imports and stuff too. But now it's like, if I'm a U.S. corporation and I've got to buy offshore product to make my products, which a lot of them do, most of them do, I would guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've always had a form of tariffs. It's called underdumping. So, for example, when I exported plywood into the United States out of China, they automatically put an additional tax on it so that I would have to pay enough tax so that it met the same price to bring it into the United States as an American company could build it. So that's always been there. But the problem is the way I got around it is I changed the composition of the plywood. I just added a different layer and glued it to it. It was no longer classified as plywood. It was actually a better wood then. And if I really wanted to get around it, I would just ship it into India and ship it here because they were under the same underdumping guidelines for import and export.
So David.
And that still happens today.
David, I have a question. You were the importer.
Yes,
right?
I imported it.
So therefore you paid this tax.
Yes and no. The person I sold it to was really paying the tax.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I would import.
Is my point, basically.
And that's just it. The American consumer pays the price regardless of what we're trying to do. Now, with these tariffs, though, they should take a percentage of the tariffs and put it right into the school system. And I mean, and that's the problem. We want to improve building here and construction and all these jobs. We have to educate people. I mean, everybody talks a little bit bad about Rockefeller and the way they set up education and production and stuff. But the bottom line is that by giving people the basics of education, we got people more motivated to do the jobs. Right now, we're not teaching these people to do the jobs. So it's just not a hangover. It's uneducated people and unmotivated people. And we're seeing that in every walk of life with people under 30 years old. COVID hurt them.
David, it's worse now because some of these people go to colleges that are ridiculously expensive and don't pick up a skill that will propel them, allow them to pay back the debt they incurred, but do something productive.
So my wife
Russell has a point.
My wife went to 2 colleges to learn culinary. Okay, the first college was
and then we'll get
full scholarship. The second college she went to, she paid $40,000, got to a restaurant, and all that she was qualified for as a woman chef was to be a prep cook after we spent $40,000. Okay, my daughter went right into working at a restaurant, and within a couple of years' time, she was a chef. Okay, my wife spent 4 years, got on to Top Chef, did all these things, won the Les Dames Culinary Award in France. I mean, wonderful at cooking, right? But she couldn't get a job because they all said, well, you're a woman. We'd rather hire you as a pastry chef. And then, by the way, would just put you in a warehouse cooking, for a bunch of places. So the education system and what it was a joke for what we paid for that. We got robbed. They didn't even train her on really that. I mean, other than her food certificate, what did they really do? She could have got that at McDonald's. So, I mean, I'm like, wow, we just wasted. Now, Le Cordon Bleu, they're gone now, okay, as a school, simply because they were just doing nothing but banging out money. And a lot of these private universities, that's all they're doing. So we just need to get back either to having our government train people, these vocational schools and trade schools, like Gary said, but we got to figure out a better educational system because our future is really screwed right now. I'm sorry, Russell.
Russell, go ahead, my buddy.
I was gonna say that, tariffs have been around for a long time. A lot of great points here, but I think that a lot of this is exacerbated because it's Donald Trump. That's what I think. I think a lot of it's being blown out of proportion because of the vitriol and the hatred for this man. It doesn't make any difference what he does. This is just an imbalance or a reset. It's not anything really out of the ordinary, but there's been some great points about job losses and stuff like that. But I still think it's exacerbated because it is Donald J. Trump. That's what I think.
I agree. You know, there are some messed up things I don't like, but I think he rubs people the wrong way. But you know what? It doesn't matter. People didn't like Obama. People didn't like Carter. People didn't like Reagan. They're always going to pick up a side that they don't like. I mean, the ironic thing, I mean, I've done social media marketing and PR work for both parties, and I'm a Republican, you know, but I mean, I did damage control for years for Rod Blagojevich. So, I mean, but all that type of stuff, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It's all green. And as long as they're trying to help us and help our economy, I don't care what party is really in office between you and I.
David, I have a very good friend who's very bright, and he said something I thought was kind of stupid. I'm pro-Trump, he's anti-Trump, and he said he was saying he was all for, he's Jewish like I am, he was all for taking out Iran. Aces. But then he said to me, yeah, I like what he does, but I don't like him. I said, I'm not looking for a buddy. You know, I'm a historian. I'll tell you something bad about all the presidents except Truman. Okay, Kennedy was having sex in the pool while Jackie was up taking a nap. Who was freakier than Lyndon Johnson? Richard Nixon fixed an election where he won 49 states. It was like Mike Tyson in his prime fixing a fight against your grandmother. They're all nuts. All I care about is what can you do? Listen, Bill Clinton, deviant sex maniac, but he got together with Newt Gingrich, two guys that hated each other, and they balanced the budget in this country and they cleaned up welfare. So it's still possible to work together. And unfortunately, with a guy like Trump, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, you get a dope like Nancy Pelosi, she should have played to his ego. He's a narcissist. We all know it. She should have went into his office and said, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, let's fix the world. Because when the sides pull apart, nobody wins. Nobody. You just had you had Hakeem Jeffries saying we're going to lose. How do you say that? Well, we got people in combat. But the bottom line is this country's going to survive. We survived Nixon and Watergate. We survived the Civil War. The White House was burned after we won the revolution. We're going to survive. We're a very tough, resilient country. If you look at everybody that since 1776, what happened in Russia? Man, the French 20 years later were getting their heads cut off their leaders. We're going to be just fine. With tariffs or not, I just wanted to start a little thought-provoking thing, but we're going to roll on. You know, and you know who we didn't hear from, and he's one of my best buddies. We didn't hear from Mike Larkin. I hate when we shut Mike out. Mike.
Hey, on the news, what's the first thing you hear about when the economy is going sideways? You always hear first about gas prices. Gas prices in Connecticut have been pretty stable since the tariffs were brought about. Now that we're at war or we're bombing people, that price is going to go up. So just an indication of, okay, when that came up, I started hearing about eggs are going up. I started hearing about, food is going up. So I don't know what this war is going to do, or, they say it's going to be lasting a month or two. I hope it does. I hope there's, that we can go back to normal. But as the economy goes, I don't know if it's going to go sideways or up or down, but it's very, very kind of disconcerting as far as,
Wait, I got great
what
news
is your
for you.
future here? Is it positive or negative?
Mike, I have great news.
Yes.
For you. Even if gas will go up, and by the way, it's not going up as much as it would have in 73 because we're drilling a lot more here.
Mm-hmm.
But here's great news for you. The price for you to come on lethal sales is going to stay the same as long as you keep paying me in cash.
Thank goodness.
Hey,
right?
Ron, did you know the answer?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that announcement. I thank you for being live.
Hey, if you can't enjoy yourself, don't even show up, man. Look, we're here for a short visit.
Why, even Bob.
Turn the volume up and we need to have fun.
Life is too short.
9671.
What happened there? That was interesting.
And by the way, a last word, Wendy and David, well done today.
Very well done.
That was
Very well
fantastic.
done.
That's Wendy's
I've
fault.
been on Clubhouse for at
No.
least 5 years, going on 6, and that was the best ever. So
That
it great
was,
to-
that was David bringing in the heavy hitters.
Hey, guys, if anybody has any good topic ideas,
good job
obviously,
on all. You guys did a great job.
they were amazing. If anybody has any good
Appreciate
topics or ideas for lethal sales, do
I
not
think we
be
should
shy.
talk about religion next week, Bill. That's a good idea.
No, you know what? I think
Sexuality.
it's gonna be Ian Sater, because Larry and I are going to
Yeah.
the
I don't know if I'll be here next week. I'll be preparing to leave early in the morning. I have a date with Minnie, Mickey, Pluto, Donald, and the gang.
Wait a
Whole
minute,
fam-
wait a minute. You're going
Buddy,
to
Buddy.
visit Congress?
all the kids, all the grandkids, Gigi and I are taking them on a 3-day Disney cruise and then 3 days at the theme park. So
very nice.
I have to do this.
I'm
You
waiting
have
to
a
be
fabulous
adopted.
time. And Rosa, if I'm not on the show, do not let Ian say that hockey is better than football. We're just trying to defend our honor as a country.
Well, I do love football a little bit more than hockey. I gotta admit that. I
Well,
like
America's
watching
good at
hockey on TV.
hockey and football.
Hey, there you go.
And this year is a good year to brag.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Thank you so
Hey, guys,
much.
thank you so much.
Take care,
We
everyone.
appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see you. Well, we'll see with me and Rhonda. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Ian will see you next week. Stay healthy, everybody.
Take care.
No, it's not next week.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.
Yeah, well,